Good morning, everyone. You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a podcast brought to you by Joy's House. We are so blessed and thrilled that you're here. Caregiver Crossing is a podcast created just for you, the caregiver. I'm Tina McIntosh.
I'm Terry Stacy. We're here every week with experts across the country to provide comfort and resources and joy to our caregivers. This podcast serves to embrace family caregivers of today and tomorrow. Thank you all so much for being here. Tina?
All right. So you remember, Terry, in the day when the government would give us like a food pyramid and would say, just eat well, follow these simple instructions. This is kind of how I feel today's episode is, but we're going to give some, no pun intended, we're going to give some meat to this conversation. We're going to talk about self-care because we know that it's important for caregivers. I know if you're a caregiver and you're listening, someone has said, well, just make sure you're taking care of yourself. And it's kind of like, what does that mean? So, but your well-being and the well-being of the person that you're caring for absolutely depends on it. So we know that caregiving is one of the most important and rewarding roles that you can have in your life. But the strain, particularly if it's left unmanaged, can take a really heavy toll. And I want to pause when I say this next sentence because this is really important to hear. If you are a caregiving spouse between the ages of 66 and 96, you are experiencing mental or emotional strain, you have the risk of dying that is 63% higher than that of people your age who are not caregivers.
Wow.
Again, you're caring for a partner or spouse, you're having emotional, strain, you're experiencing that mental strain, you have a risk of dying that is 63% higher than that of people your age who are not caregivers.
Wow.
That's huge. So the combination of loss, the prolonged stress, the physical demands of caregiving, and the biological vulnerabilities that come with age place you at risk for significant health problems as well as an earlier death. However, let's look on the bright side here.
Wow.
However,
that was really a long pause after a sad sentence.
It's heavy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's heavy to think about. And we know that we talk often about the fact that caregivers either get a diagnosis, progress in a diagnosis, or die before their loved ones. And so that's what we want to talk about today. And despite these risks, family caregivers of any age are less likely than non-caregivers to practice preventative healthcare and self-care behaviors. That's regardless of age, sex, race, ethnicity. Caregivers report problems attending to their own health and their own well-being while managing caregiving responsibilities. So caregivers report regular problems with sleep deprivation, poor eating habits, failure to exercise, failure to stay in bed when they're sick, and postponement and or failure to make a medical appointment for themselves. We need to talk about this. This is really important that we just stay present in this conversation and talk about how to do better.
Yeah. And I think knowing you and your profession and what you do as a caregiver, I think you've got probably a lot of better answers. And I'm just curious about how you handle some of this stuff. So I would like to ask you some questions. Can we start with me asking you questions?
I just pray to God I have the answers. So yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
So what are some real common barriers to self-care? I mean, you kind of mentioned it, right? We don't, we don't sleep well. We don't eat well. We don't take care of ourselves. We don't make time for ourselves. We don't keep those appointments, our medical appointments, those barriers. So what are the barriers for you and what you know?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I've seen in 23 years that I've been doing, adult day and in this healthcare realm is caregivers are always putting other people first. I mean, if you're a caregiver, it's just kind of how you're made, right? So they're caring for their loved one who has that life-altering diagnosis. They're caring for other people in their lives, and they just don't make themselves priority. It would be really easy, Terry, for me to say, well, women are just guilty of this, right? We put everybody else ahead of ourselves, but that's not even necessarily true anymore. I think it goes for both genders. I mean, we are, as caregivers, we don't put ourselves first. We also, I hear people talk about not having time. And I will never forget years ago, I said something when I was a young professional, I was doing event planning. And I said to a board member something about, well, I just don't have the time to do that, whatever we were talking about. Stopped the world from rotating for a moment and said, you have all the time in the world. What you're not doing is making that a priority. And I was like, that's done a little bit right.
Yeah.
You have the time. It's just about what are you prioritizing. So I think that's a big one. And then I hear people say they just don't have the energy. And they just don't have the energy to do the things that they know need to be done. So those, I think, are the biggest barriers that I hear about are putting other people first, not having enough time, and no energy.
What about your self-care routines or your rituals? Because listen, not only have you had health issues, running a business, and being a mom and a wife, so I know you've made it, or you do find time, you do make time for a self-care routine or a ritual. Share with us some of yours.
Yeah, if I'm being honest with myself, I don't make it a priority to work out like I should. I mean, my body has changed a lot during these diagnoses and health issues over the years. But I absolutely do other things to take care of myself. And so here are a few. I allow myself to lie in bed for a few minutes. I stretch my body. I pay attention to, how my body's feeling at that moment, to my muscles, to my joints, to my, all of my things, to my brain and my heart. And I lay there for a moment. For me, it's also really important that I start my day with prayer and that I end it with prayer. So I can't tell you the number of nights that I lie in bed and I'm saying my evening prayers and I fall asleep in prayer.
Me too.
You do? So do you ever feel guilty about that?
A million times. And if I have to get up to go to the bathroom, I'll try to finish it in the middle of the night. As you get older, you'll realize you're up maybe 3 or 4 times a night, maybe not that many, but a few. And I've known I fell asleep. I know I never made it to amen. So I know so I finish it after I apologize.
That is hilarious. So I do the same thing. I mean, and really, what better way to fall asleep, right, than being in conversation with, for you and me as Christians, for God, but whoever that is for you, listener, like, what a wonderful thing to do. And there is something to be said for how that settles down the brain, right? And how
I agree
before we go into sleep. So that's another part, is just learning to turn your brain off for a few minutes. And it's okay to do that whether that's some kind of mindless TV, or for me, I enjoy doing the dishes. I like cooking, so I turn my brain off for everything else. But one of the biggest kind of self-preserving things that I've learned how to do over time is to give something away. And I think we've talked about this before, Terry, where I've really gotten skilled at giving my anxiety away. So if I'm anxious, like through full-on anxiety, or just nervous about a moment, or whatever the feeling is, I can turn to you or someone in my life and say, Terry, I'm really feeling anxious about this. I'm going to give my anxiety to you because maybe I know you can handle it better, or you just don't get anxious. But I've done that a lot through a lot of my healthcare things. And I find that works really well when I'm working with somebody living with a life-altering diagnosis too. I can give a feeling to them and they take it. And then you have to literally give it away. It's I guess a hard practice to get into, but when you do it.
I love that you've taught me about that. And also that you taught me about turning nervousness into anxiousness. Just call it something different. And it makes all the difference in the world. From if I'm sitting and I'm nervous about something, you said, don't use the word nervous, use the word anxious. And it just changes. Just using the different word changes your mentality.
Yes. Because we do that to ourselves. We psych ourselves out about things. And so, I think, we've had that where we've talked about, I'm really nervous about something. And then we're like, wait a minute, am I excited? Those feel a lot like. So naming things differently as well works.
Before we talk about, and in fact, I know we want to get to, I'm not watching our time. I know we want to talk about what self-care may look like. And you've kind of talked about that a little bit in the way you eat and you exercise, but what part of your well-being is most likely to be neglected? I'm asking you, but I'm also asking our listeners to think about that for a minute. What part of your well-being is most likely to be neglected, as far as maybe that's the number one thing that you should work on? Baby steps, but maybe this is the one thing you should work on if it's the most likely to be neglected for you, Tina.
Okay. So you're asking me that question.
And our listeners,
Yeah, mine would be my physical body. I've all kinds of excuses over the years, surgeries and chemos and, broken ankles, and only one, but, pretty shattered, all the things. And so And I've also gained a lot of weight, and that's not good for an aging body either, right? Like, how am I possibly going to care for other people if I have a hard time walking up a flight of stairs, or, can't bend over like I used to? So for me, it would truly be not even I was going to say not even the health of the body that I have, because it's pretty strong, but I might be lying to myself a little bit. Like, it is, for me, it would be the physical part of me. How about you?
It would be physical. It would be physical, because as you get older, your body isn't what it used to be. No matter how well you've taken care of it, it just slows down. Your metabolism, the aches and the pains, and they come a little easier and a little quicker. So it is your body. And I think those that are listening to us right now would probably make that maybe number one too. I don't think we're uncommon. I think that we're pretty normal when it comes to, it's your own self, your own body, your physical body is what you neglect. I think most.
Where I get frustrated with myself about that is there are so many apps out there. And I think this is a good thing for people to pay attention to, even if you think I'm not a phone app person. Well, I bet you are. You're just not, we're not talking the same language. Like, whether I know the one that I really love that I have is just called Fitness. And it just gives me, I don't know, like, today's training is 15 minutes worth of exercises to do. 15 minutes, Terry. How can I not find 15 minutes in a day?
Yeah, true.
And it's even true. As a caregiver, how can you not find 15 minutes in a day while your loved one is eating, while they're, using the restroom? So you do 5 minutes while you're standing in the hallway waiting. I mean, we let ourselves be our worst enemy with stuff like that.
So great idea and great tip about the app. Apps have become part of our lives for the most of us. And they, as silly as it may seem, I can't believe we're talking about this, even 10 years ago. Well, I've got an app. I've got an app that's going to help me with fitness and mental and even sleeping. I mean, there's an app for everything. And I use them. Yes. I use them, and I'm glad I have them. There's one thing I'm glad about when it comes to my phone, other than, being able to reach an emergency if I have to quickly, but it's because these apps have become such a part of my life. Yes. And so many of them are free.
The meditation apps are lovely. Taking a couple minutes is all you have to really do to slow down your heart rate and to do, all these good things for your body and your brain. So I'm with you. There are yoga apps. I mean, you're right. There is an app for everything.
Use them. And a lot of them are free.
I really, also, Terry, if I may, there are some great apps for communicating with your family as a caregiver as well. There are some really, really good ones out there where you can send daily communications, or you can keep in touch. And that's another big tip that I would have for caregivers, is sharing the responsibility with other people. You don't have to do everything. Even if you think you do. I don't have, you're listening, you're like, Terry, Tina, I don't have any other family. I really don't have any friends. And well, you probably have neighbors. You probably have more people who care about you than you think. Sometimes you need to reach out and ask for the help and share that responsibility.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And, and give yourself some credit. We beat ourselves up when we're caregiving for all kinds of things, and guilt and so many things mentally. But give yourself some credit, because the work that you're doing is priceless, and who you're caring for, you're making a difference in their life every minute that you're with them, every second.
Yeah. And something else, and I know we only have a couple of minutes. Joy's going to give us the flag here in
the finger.
We have to wrap up, whatever it is, she's going to do it. But another thing is, not everything you do as a caregiver has to be about your loved one. So
what do you mean?
Well, sometimes we think we have to fill every second with things for them to do. And we don't. So maybe they are sitting on the couch and they're watching you do this exercises, or maybe you're sharing the meditation app with them, and who knows, they may catch on to some of that and enjoy some of that. Or you want to do a puzzle, they don't want anything to do with it. It's okay. Put on some music and you can sit nearby, still watch them and do your puzzle or do your craft, or, whatever it is you like to do. Not everything has to be about them being first.
Oh, that's good. Good. A great reminder, a great lesson once again. from your friends here at Caregiver Crossing. Hey, listen, everybody, we're glad that you joined us today. And we want to remind you that if you want to need some help, want to contact Tina McIntosh, you can do that. She's got a lot of great resources and information to help you through the journey of caring. And you won't find anybody better than Tina. So just send her a note, tina@joycehouse.org. And for all of the people that have been helping us, Tina, list all of the good people that support this show.
Oh my goodness, there are so many, but I'm going to highlight today our friends at AARP. They are, as we know, leading a revolution in the way people view and live life after 50. They also have great discounts, I've noticed now that I'm 50 and been using my AARP card.
Good girl. Use them.
We love that they are working to empower people to choose how they live as they age. And so on behalf of Terry and myself, you have a great week. And until next time, take good care of each other.